All right, everybody. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of Pop Goes the Zebra. I'm flying a little solo tonight. Jesse had a prior commitment, so he could not make it tonight. So instead, we are joined by a very special guest, a good friend of mine. He's Mr. Average Guy Gourmet himself. He's my good buddy. He's Tony Rican. Tony, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Jeremy?
Oh, fat and sassy, living the life. How much more could I be, Fudge. How you been, man?
Just tired, man. Tired. Working from home has my motivation like slipping. You don't have to get up and go anywhere. You can see my work laptop is like literally right here. I literally just so my whole day is either this or
I was
this.
gonna say, are you? I see the bed over your right shoulder. Tell me that's your side of the bed.
Yeah, that is my side of the bed.
You literally roll out of bed right to work.
I literally do. I bought a new chair. I have a gaming chair now because my back was getting to hurt, starting to hurt. So that's a gaming chair.
There you go.
But yeah, like you can tell it's my side of the bed because like there's deodorant and energy drinks and like comic books down here. And there's also comic books over here. So you can tell it's my side of the bed.
Oh man, my side of the bed, I've got just like a lamp and where I put my cell phone at night because my cell phone's my alarm. And that's about it. But like we're only 2 weeks in, so I feel like that's gonna change dramatically because on her side of the bed, you've already got like the makeup and the hair straightener and the
she's got like a dump unit with pictures of the baby, and there's like a flower potpourri thing, and like what you can't see is like you can see it a little bit in the edge of the picture frame here. We got a big giant picture of Paris over like where right there. There's a little edge of the picture frame.
I've got a giant Jolly Roger just sitting right above me. It's pretty dope. But yeah, anyway, man, fuck. I feel like I've known you forever. It's only been 7, 8, 9 years going on, maybe a little bit closer to 10.
Okay, so I technically
were you around
7 years ago? I stopped wrestling.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were you around for my first incarnation with Fire Pro?
So
that would have been like 08.
I left Fire Pro for a little while. So I was at Fire Pro when they were in the warehouse.
And I got there towards the end of them being in the warehouse.
So then I left for a while, and then I was back when I came back. They were already in the church.
Okay, yeah. So it'd been 2010, 2011 when they went to the church. So it's been about 10 years. We've known each other. Obviously, you were a big part of my career. You got me into AAW when I was first starting to branch out. So right off the bat, I got to thank you for that. I learned a lot of lessons there before moving on. How long were you wrestling before you kind of started doing your semi-annual retirement match run that you do?
I've only had technically 2 retirement matches. It was the end, and then Horning retired, so I came back once. So there really was only one comeback.
Because I know sometimes like I'll bump into you and you'll just be like, man, I kind of got the itch, but I kind of don't, but I kind of got the itch. I'm like, yeah.
I mean, I started in like, God, what was it, 2000, 2001, something like that. So, it was a little while, but then again, I was older when I started, older than because most people start in their, 18, 19, 20. I was 27 when I started.
Oh, so you're kind of like the Diamond Dallas Page of the area,
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I said, like, even though I went like 14 years, you figure starting at 27, that brought me just past my 40th birthday.
There you go. I gotta ask, how's the body feeling because of that? I mean,
now that I've stopped, I feel a lot better. After I stopped, within that first year, I lost maybe 20 pounds because I could move again. I could do more cardio. Because my hips and my knees weren't hurting as bad. Like I still get in the ring once in a great while, like Ego trains over at Freelance. So I've gone over to his training session and worked with him and his students a little bit.
Those are good kids, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're real good kids. I love them.
Like I've done that, and then like Gringo invited me over to Galley to roll over at Galley if I want, because it's literally right next to my house. So it's kind of like, that kind of makes me feel good that I've left a good enough impression that people are like, you want to come hang out at our school and roll with our students?
Yeah, you want to get in there and get some mat time.
Right. And it's like, because I don't want to be back in the ring because I know my problem is I go all out. I don't have a half speed.
Yeah.
And I'd be in pain. Like when I did that one match with Mike, that crash tested, what was I healing? Like 6 months? I was out of the ring for 2 years, came back to that match with Mike, and I was healing for like 6 months because I did a bunch of dumb stuff.
So I have to almost ask. I'm gonna have to ask Mike next time I talk to him. How long did he heal up off of that?
I don't know, but we were both banged up because we knew we didn't have the endurance, the gas tanks anymore. So we did hardcore. So there was ladders, chairs, there was thumbtacks. I bruised up my elbow, like the joint, not just like on the outside, but in the joint, I bruised it up really bad. And both of us like messed our ribs up with, because we were hauling off with chair shots, like hauling off. And the whole thing is we were both broken down and battered by that point, and we're hauling off with chair shots. It's just like, man.
There's only, speaking of one speed, there's only one speed you can throw a good chair shot at, and it's slow.
That's the thing. This is the problem is neither one of us did chair shots half speed. We swung for the fences every friggin' time. So you felt it, every bit of it.
Oh yeah. So you did the wrestling for
decade and a half.
Decade and a half. Yeah. Sorry, math is not my strong suit at 8 o'clock at night. Especially I've had a couple of these in my system. And a few, a little bit out of that.
I don't even have a drink.
Oh, it'd blow your mind. Right next to me, sitting like right here, I've got a mini refrigerator, and it's chock full of all the happy juice.
We used to have one in here, but we found we were drinking too much pop. It became too easy just to have them there.
That's going to be the hard part for me here, because now that the move is done, starting to get back into shape, because I look like a bloated marshmallow, as someone once put it to me. But that's another topic for another day. So you did the wrestling thing, and now you you'll roll around from time to time. But what I really wanted to get you on here to talk about is Average Guy Gourmet. Tony is the host, the creator, the intellectual genius behind it. And if you are not familiar with it, go check it out. He's sitting at over 23,000 subscribers right now on YouTube. So just
3,000 followers on Facebook.
How many?
43,000 followers on Facebook.
Yikes, that is a ton. So I got to ask, how did Average Guy start? What was the incarnations of it? Like, what led you to doing this?
So like, once I was out of the ring, I was like, man, I need to do something. And I had played around with YouTube before and made a little bit of money off of YouTube before. And I was like, I got to do something, now that I'm not in the ring and I'm not doing anything entertaining anymore. I was like, I thought to myself, what can I do? And I was like, I wanted something that I could do that wasn't going to be so overly time consuming that I had no time for anything else, because I had already done that with wrestling, where I was, because I'm driving out to a different state, having to get back for Anthony's football game, so I'm like, I don't want to do that stuff. I got to figure out something that I can do. I was like, and I was a terrible cook when I started. I was horrible. So I was like, you know what? I'll teach myself to cook easy stuff at the same time I'm teaching others. That's what I'll do. That's what I figured it was. And I figured it's going to be something stupid and just fun, and I'm not going to put a lot into it. And then now, 6 years later, it's kind of, you're the first person I'm telling this. I just signed a contract with the website The Infatuation to write restaurant reviews for Puerto Rican restaurants in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
So I literally just signed that before I went for, they don't know, but we were chit-chatting while I was on a walk with my wife. Right before I left for that walk, I signed the contract to do that. So,
dude, that is awesome. I'm
going to be a paid writer for a restaurant review website now.
I love when my friends find success. That is freaking amazing, and I couldn't be happier for you, dude. That is awesome, because, like you said, you've been at this for a while, about 6 years now.
Yeah.
What were you trying to accomplish when you set out to do this? Like, what was the goal as far as the content you were putting out?
Like, originally, the whole concept before, it was supposed to be the Average Guys Gourmet, not I'm the Average Guy. Originally, this was supposed to be food for the average guys. The literal slant that I wanted to do was men's food for men.
Huh.
And that's what it started out as. And so that's why I was like, everything's simple because guys screw up cooking. We don't know how to cook. But then what I found out is my audience was predominantly female. So that's why I started switching things up a little bit and doing simple dinners and simple, you know what I mean? I still do the, guy-centric stuff, but I went with where my audience was leaning. And my audience wasn't leaning into, for us, by us, food for men type of thing.
Gotcha.
Because like originally some of my series was do it for her, date night foods. Those didn't hit because it was mostly women watching. So
read the room, know your audience.
That's exactly what it was. Is like, even though I wanted it to be A, B was working. So I said, you know what? Let's just lean into B.
Yeah. I mean, what's that old Joe Dirt thing? You're selling the fireworks for you, but you're not selling the fireworks for the consumer. That sort of thing.
And that's what it was. It's like I can sit there and put out what I want to put out, but does anybody want to watch what I want to put out? So it becomes you got to put out what the consumer is going to take, and that's the material they wanted to see. So that's what I ran with. And like I did fun little series, like in the beginning, that's what it was. A lot of series. I did tons of egg rolls. Then I did tons of mug cakes, no bake mug cakes. I did, things like that. So like, I think I have about 105 burgers on the site.
The burger episode was great. All those burger episodes were outstanding. I'm particularly fond of one because it was actually my recipe that I gave you, episode 411 here on your list, the chocolate chip lasagna recipe.
Yeah, that one came from you.
That one was from me.
There's no lies. There's no hiding. I don't even try to take credit for that one.
No, and hey, I was just happy to give you one. It's out there for God and everybody. I found it online. I can't even take credit for the recipe. It's just the one I used.
That's the thing, is like a lot of recipes, like people are like, oh, your yellow cake recipe is a ripoff of this. It's like yellow cake's yellow cake, man.
Yeah.
It's like anybody who makes yellow cake, it's a ripoff of yellow cake. You're not. And that's why it's like, they're like, oh, your cake is a ripoff of this cake. It's like cake's cake. Baking is baking. It's not as much fun and experimenting.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like if I'm doing my stupid stuff, like I do bacon cheeseburger egg rolls, that's me screwing around and inventing something. I just did you see the Takis jalapeno poppers?
Oh, I don't think I caught that one.
So when I do deep fried jalapeno poppers, so instead of deep frying them in a panko or a breadcrumb or something, I put Taki Fuegos in the food processor and made breadcrumbs out of Taki Fuego. And I coated that and deep fried that. So you had that Taki flavor with the jalapeno popper. So it's like that type of stuff. That's the type of stuff that I'm playing with. When I'm making Portillo's cake, you can't say, oh, you ripped that. Well, no, it's literally, I'm calling it a Portillo's cake. I didn't rip anything off. Calm down.
You're not calling it Tony Rican's Portillo's cake. You're calling it Portillo's cake.
It's Portillo's cake. Or when I say like, I did the state burgers.
Yeah.
Where I did the burgers inspired by what I know of that state. It's not saying this is how you would make a burger, or like one state I did the St. Paul, which is the St. Paul sandwich is from St. Louis, Missouri. So I said, I took the St. Paul and used that as inspiration for a burger. And I literally say that all over my video and in the description. I was inspired by the St. Paul. And everyone's like, this is not a St. Paul. I'm like, no, I know it's not a St. Paul. It's inspired by a St. Paul. Well, this is not how you make a St. Paul. I know.
This is how I make a St. Paul.
Like, literally, you're right. This is not how you make a St. Paul. This is inspired by, just like I made a Hoosier burger.
Mm-hmm.
So, the tenderloin where you flatten it out, bread it, deep fry it. I did that with a burger. I took like a smash burger, froze it, breaded it, deep fried it.
That's beautiful.
So just the patty,
playing it in my head.
So just the patty is breaded and deep fried. Then you build it almost like you're building like a pork tenderloin sandwich, but it's a freaking burger.
And so it sounds delicious. Okay, this probably was one of my worst ideas for episodes ever because now I'm hungry and I can't afford to eat any more food.
So, but no, it's just like, and that's the thing is like, I do, one funny thing is, you probably know, and not a lot of people know, is I don't drink, I don't do anything. I'm pretty straight edge.
Yeah, you're pretty straight-laced and clean.
Like I'll have a rum and coke once a month.
There you go.
And so
yeah,
my stuff is shared on Stoner Foods of Reddit so much. And I get that question all the time. It's like, no, it just this, like I'm driving home and I'm like, man, I want chicken strips and I want smoky mac and cheese and a burrito. Let's make chicken strip smoky mac and cheese burritos. And people are like, what are you? I'm not smoking. It's just, these are things I like.
I just put on 5 pounds thinking about doing that.
I joked with one of my fans, I'm going to make a cookbook called Things Stuffed into Other Things Cookbook.
Oh, that reminds me, there's like an episode of The Simpsons where Homer hits on money and he goes to like a restaurant. He's like, I'll have your first finest food stuffed with your second finest food. Very good, sir. Lobster stuffed with tacos.
I mean, it's really what it's like. If you could stuff something into something else, it's probably going to taste pretty darn good.
Right?
Something else and deep fry it, it's going to taste that much better.
Oh man, I've been, since I got the new place, I've been screwing around with a lot of new different stuff. On tap for me, I'm gonna start working on making my own chicken parm recipe, and that's probably going to consume all of like 5 minutes of my time before I decide, what, it's good enough, it's done, this is my chicken parm.
I'm going to tell you something. Get funnel cake batter, dip your Oreo cookies in it, and drop them in the fryer. Just saying. Yeah,
I think I know where you're going with that. It sounds
those
amazing.
Things are amazing.
Oh God, aren't they? Oh, her cousin, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, she'd make these Oreo balls. They're just crushed up Oreos rolled in, like, I would have to say probably like a butter and sugar type of thing, and it's just a lump of Oreo in white chocolate, and it's amazing. And
cookie and creams with Oreo, anything is a win.
Oh, dude, isn't it? I
try to live healthy. Like I try to stay like my weight down. Like I'm almost 50, and I have almost abs still.
There you go.
And but I do an 80-20 where I eat healthy 80% of the time, but the 20% I'm not eating healthy, I am so far over the edge. It's stupid. It's stupid. I'm having McDonald's White Castle at the same time I'm shoving down like deep fried something that I just made with a burrito. It's just like, it's that 20% of the time is really bad.
You earn that 20% of the time. Like,
oh God,
we work hard, we play hard.
So, the other thing, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, so if I'm gonna make you choose your favorite child here, what was probably your favorite episode to do? What was your favorite? Or let me rephrase that. What was your favorite recipe that you discovered, like, in the process of all this? Which one really stands out?
So I don't know if it's a recipe, but I'm gonna say it's an ingredient that I have a friend who's a chef. I'll start there, and he said the one thing is me not being culinary trained. Is I'm not constrained by what foods are. I don't have a preconceived notion of how to put them together. And this comes into play with Philly cheesesteak. So I make everything and anything out of Philly cheesesteak. Because as long as you have dough, it's bread, right?
Right.
So I make Philly cheesesteak pizzas. I make Philly cheesesteak trombolis. I make Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. I make Philly cheesesteak pies. I make, I love Philly cheesesteak, quesadillas. It's like, I've got a whole playlist of everything's better as a Philly cheesesteak.
I love that. That's a t-shirt, by the way. Everything's better as a Philly cheesesteak. There you go.
And that's the thing is, as a guy from Chicago, I'm putting over Philly cheesesteak here. My Philly cheesesteak pizza is a huge hit on YouTube too. And the other thing, I think if I have to go non-Philly cheesesteak, I have to go to my Puerto Rican roots and say I like mofongo. Which is a fried mashed plantain. And obviously if I'm going Puerto Rican, I'm going to get into the cookbook too. So
Well, there you go. I mean,
But no, I'm a mofongo guy. That was my dad's favorite. When I was younger, I wasn't as big into it. And like I said, so basically what you do is you take plantains, you drop them in oil, fry them for a little bit, like 7 minutes, and you make like a garlic paste in a pestle mortar of, like garlic, olive oil, some oregano and seasoning. And then you take the plantains, put them in the pestle mortar, mash them with that garlic paste, throw maybe a little bacon and bacon grease in there and a little bit of pork rinds, and you mash it together and you get it's almost like a mashed potato, but with plantains, but it's a little bit drier. And then you serve that with like some shrimp and garlic sauce or some steak or something like that. And so I've learned to play a lot with mofongo because it is the starch that you have with your proteins. So like a big one I do garlic butter shrimp, where I take the mofongo, I'll pack it into like a little ramekin, turn it over on a plate. So it's like a little thing on the plate. Then I'll put the shrimp on top with a little bit of cooked green pepper, and then I'll pour the garlic butter sauce around it. So it's like a little river. So that when you take it, you drag it through the bar, so you get a little bit of extra moisture for that. And it's just like, and I tell people, and this is like a thing I'm big into right now. I'm taking simple Caribbean cuisines from Puerto Rico, but I'm giving them oomph where you can consider them almost gourmet meals. Like these are literally like 20-minute makes that are very common in Puerto Rico, but I'm mixing them together in a way that's like next level. And that's kind of like my next thing here is trying to next level Puerto Rican cooking. So it's not just the little things, you know what I mean? It's that got that presentation and that, things like that. So
yeah, I just keep what you said keeps swimming in your head. What your chef friend said. You're not confined by the constraints of preconceived notions. That was kind of how I felt when I stopped going to school for culinary. Is they wanted me to make something, this way. I'm like, but that doesn't sound good. I want to make it this way. Right. Well, no, the book says. I was like, okay, we have a clash of, food is subjective. It's not supposed to be confined down into a little box.
That's what he said, is because like he said, being so culinary trained, over the years, when he thinks of a sandwich, it's literally bread with meat. And I'm like, well, any dough is bread. So pizza dough is bread, tortillas is bread, pie crust is bread. Yeah. So you can make that sandwich any way you want. Bread is, just like my White Castle stuffing. Because if you think about it, what's in stuffing? Sausage is meat. You have breadcrumbs. You have sauteed onions. Celery, stuff like that. So what is White Castle? Bread, sauteed onions, and meat. So I'm like, why wouldn't I use that to make stuffing? So like, I use that stuff like that. It's like, it's the same ingredients, just different.
There you go. I mean, like, God, I've always described food as science you can eat. There, all you can really do is get into the kitchen and just start going to town and seeing what comes out. And it sounds like you've done that. Oh, dude.
So I put a video out yesterday that I literally made. I made it for me and my wife, and I thought it was going to be a dog. Like I thought it was going to just be horrible on the channel. And I was telling you this, like right as we logged on, it's sitting at like 2,500 shares, 120,000 impressions in a day. You ready for this? It's a bacon cheddar jalapeno beer bread.
Jeez.
Because think about it, you don't need yeast because there's yeast in the beer. So you don't have to worry about killing yeast off or activating it or any of that.
Oh man, I'm looking at it right now and it looks freaking phenomenal. Like,
it's stupid. Like, and I thought it was gonna be a dog because I'm like, who gives a crud about bacon, cheddar, jalapeno, whatever bread? Nobody does. I just want to make it because I want to make it. And it's not doing great on YouTube, but on Facebook, which leads to my website, it's doing stupid. Like, I mean,
like I pulled up here, show you guys. Hold on, lighting. There we go.
Yeah.
There you go.
And you can get like something like, what is that? 2,500 shares, 3,200 likes.
Yeah. Look at that.
The thing went stupid. Like, and I joke, and I just totally don't get how that one launched.
Again, you just never know. It's like science. You just never know what's going to come out. You never know, when you're going to rediscover fire. And like Oh, my camera's got a little wonky. Hold on one second. I got to refocus.
Oh, no problem.
It. I got to refocus it. I'm still here. I promise. There we go. There we go. But so which was there a recipe? And now I'm going to ask you the complete total opposite here. What's a recipe that you thought was really going to be good that ended up, in your words, being a dog? Like, is there one where you were excited to try it and you're like, this one just didn't quite meet expectations?
I've been doing like Instapot and air fryer stuff just because people want that stuff. So I was like, I'm going to do air fryer French fries from scratch. And I thought people love salt and vinegar. People love air fryers. This one's going to hit. It didn't hit. It didn't do anything. Oof. Like it was, I don't expect a lot out of summer videos anyways, just because the summer is kind of slow.
Right.
But this one was, because it tells you, here's your, the top 10 rankings of your last 10 videos, how they rank. This one came in at 10. It was the worst video out of my last 10. Ooh. And I was like, I expected it to do better than that.
At least a 4,
I was like, it's salt and vinegar, it's French fries, and it's an air fryer. I thought for sure this thing's going to catch.
So I'm going to do a little sidebar here. What is your opinion on air fryers? I've met a lot of people that love them. I've met some people that don't like them.
I've been playing with it, and my whole thing is I have a regular fryer and I have an oven. So to me, I don't get anything out of the air fryer because because if I want to bake it, I'll put it in the oven. I use it because I'm like, okay, I want to play with this and learn more about it, put videos out, stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm not sold on it. Like, because like I said, I could have done salt and vinegar fries in my oven.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it, is like, it's a good theory on paper, but the more you think about it, the more it's just a miniature oven.
Plus the thing is, like, when you talk about frying, some of the stuff I like is battered. How do you put battered stuff in there without creating this huge mess?
Exactly.
At least with a deep fryer, that with the oil, the second it touches the oil, it starts sealing that batter. Yep. Whereas with a air fryer, I have to put it on the tray, which means the batter's leaking around the tray as it's cooking.
And that's, then you got mess and you got to worry about it burning and smoking up the house. You got like all these problems. Like, I was just curious where you were at with it. Like, at first I loved the air fryer. I was throwing pizza rolls in there. I was throwing sandwiches in there. I was throwing anything I could think of. And then the more I thought of it, I was like,
it's a convection oven.
It's a convection oven. And people are paying money for these convection ovens when really they've already got one,
Right. So that's the thing, is like, I'll keep experimenting and putting out videos with it because a lot of people have them. So, I'll put out videos so that they have something and more creative, because I'm going to do creative dumb stuff with it.
Right.
So I'll do some creative dumb videos with it, so people can experiment and have fun. But in my day-to-day cooking, I can't see it coming out. I really can't see it coming out.
I'll tell you what I've really fallen in love with lately. And I'll out myself right now. Yes, I shop at Walmart. They have this like 12-inch electric skillet with a lid. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, I have cooked some really good stuff in there because you can control the temperature. You can kind of double it as like a miniature fryer if you want to do fries, but you just don't have the countertop space for that, and the toaster and the all the other things. And then you add a deep fryer, you don't have
right.
And I've had a ball with that, just like tonight I did fajitas. I fried some sirloin on the stove. I threw the chicken in that thing, threw some butter in there, some mesquite and some seasoning salt and some chopped onion, and I was good to go. And that thing just held like a whole pack of tenders, and like it was amazing. I love my little electric skillet.
We've actually gone pretty old school in our house. Our big things are cast iron.
That's the next thing on my list.
I mean, I would say that anybody starting off, get yourself a cast iron skillet, get it well seasoned. I mean, you get that and a pair of tongs and a spatula, and you're pretty set.
Oh yeah.
The cast iron skillet, tongs, spatula, and an oven mitt. You don't need much more than that. Like if you're just starting off, if you have those 4 things, you can cook.
Well, see, I had to get creative because before I moved here, I had a grill out on the deck, and I was smoking everything, and I was just open grill, and you get here and it's like, well, you can do an electric grill, and I'm like, well, no, I really can't.
My dad did apartment living, and he loved
Yeah.
burgers, and he loved grilled burgers, but he couldn't do grilled burgers. So what he would do is on his oven, he put a tray on the bottom and put the burger straight on the grating, so the fat would drip into the tray, but he would still get the nice little
The charring, yeah.
yeah, the charring on it.
There's like it's like a skillet. It's like a ribbed gimmick where you can do that, and it'll give you the grill marks, things like that. But really, what I was doing there is they had this little tinder box, maybe 7 inches by 4 inches, and like you'd soak the chips,
right,
throw it in the box, and put it over direct heat, and it would smoke up your gas grill. So like it was really nice, and like I could do it here. Like I figured out a way I could do it, but I don't want to deal with the smoke smell in the apartment at all times, and it's just. Yeah, you make some sacrifices, but like I've had to get creative on how I make a lot of the stuff that I used to make a different way and doing it here.
We tried ribs in the Instapot in the pressure cooker.
How'd that go?
So what we did is if you like the super fall off the bone ribs, you'll like these. If you like more of the competition grill master ribs that are a little they're not as soft, then these aren't so much for you, because what we did is you season them and you throw them in there and you let them go, and then you baste them with barbecue sauce and put them in the broiler for like 3 minutes. And literally, I think the ribs took us 40 minutes total to be fall off the bone. But like I said, again, it depends on what kind of ribs you like, because some people like that fall off the bone. Some people like competition style. So if you like the competition style, this is not the setup for you. If you like the fall off the bone, the Instapot is great, because it really only took maybe 35, 40 minutes to have the ribs fully cooked and that juicy fall off the bone. Like it was literally like it melted when you bit into it.
Ooh.
So, and I know like my wife likes the competition style more.
Yeah.
So while the flavor was there, the consistency wasn't right for her. So she likes when I go out to the smoker, and do a good long smoke, get some char on it. The meat has more texture to it.
That's probably the way I lean on it mostly.
And I mean, and that's the thing. It's totally a preference thing. Neither one is right.
I was say I'll eat your way too. Like if it's pork and it's seasoned, I'm there.
Right. And so so basically what you did is I put a little bit of water and apple cider vinegar in the bottom of the Instapot. Some garlic and onion. Slotted the ribs in there. Nice and seasoned. Close it up and let it go. And so basically, instead of using like a brine or like, how if you're doing a 3-2-1, you put it in the tin foil with whatever. This is keeping the moisture in because you have the water and the apple cider vinegar and everything in there. And so, like I said, it comes out super tender. And then you baste it, get a little char on it. But if you're not into if you're into super tender ribs and you don't have a place to cook them, you don't have a grill, you don't have a smoker, you don't want to oven them, this is great. It really is. So, I mean,
like in my head, I'm thinking about ways to do it. Like I would love to do an episode of just like different ways of cooking ribs. Kind of like the thing from Forrest Gump where Bubba's listing off all the ways to make shrimp, all the ways you could make ribs, because I feel like it's almost infinite the amount of different ways you could do ribs.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, so far out there, I've got smoked, grilled, oven, Instapot,
baked. You can bake them.
Yeah,
can bake them.
Yeah, so we've done, and that's the thing is we've done a few different, and all of them come out a little bit different. Like people say you can't oven bake ribs. You can.
Bullshit. My mother has done it for decades, and
the only thing
good.
You can help with is that same smoky flavor you get on a smoker.
Right.
But if you really, really, really think about it, your oven is the exact same thing as your grill.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a heating element in an enclosed area.
That was the breakthrough I had on steak, is like, I realized that I was not cooking my steaks properly. Like I was charring them on the outside, and in the inside they were still raw. And I finally figured out, you know what? I'm going about this the wrong way. What happens when you put it in an oven? It still heats up. It's not under direct flame.
Right.
And I was like, that's what you do. So like on my charcoal grill, I would take all the charcoal, I would put it to one side, and I'd put the steak on the other side, and just it was still getting the smoke. But it was indirect heating. And once I did that, man, like clockwork. Like,
and that's what, like, you get people who are purists who say you can't do it in the oven. It's like, no, your oven is the same thing as your grill if you're cooking right.
I was so proud of this. First time doing a tomahawk, and we're tomahawk, bones, my forearm. I threw it on the grill, about 400 degrees. I put like aluminum foil down, and I kept the back open so it would still have that heat coming up
from there. Yeah.
I put it on the grill about 10 minutes aside at 400 degrees, and then I threw it up on to the they call it the cooling rack, but it was right over the direct heat, and I think I did that for another 6 minutes aside. Pink, coast to coast, just like clockwork, dude. I was so proud of myself. Just a little butter with garlic, little onion, little pepper, salt, good to go. I was so proud of myself. First time out on a tomahawk.
I got my next thing, and I'm going to be inviting people over for this, my next experimentation. So it's stuffed pizzas.
Ooh.
But I'm going to do stuff like bottom dough, breaded chicken, mostaccioli sauce, top dough, throw it in, let it bake, pull it out, put the pizza sauce, cheese, the little crumbled sausage, throw it back in, pull it out. So you essentially have a chicken parm pizza where it's stuffed with, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. And I want to experiment with stuffed pizzas like that where it's layered. Or like
good.
Philly cheesesteak. It's stuffed inside of Philly cheesesteak, topped with mozzarella and a little bit more meats. And
I just sent you a recipe that I absolutely love. It is I had been trying to make an Alfredo sauce from scratch for a long time, because I was determined that what I was buying at the dollar store or whatever in the ragu can just wasn't it. It's fine if you're wanting to be lazy one afternoon, just open up the can, boil some noodles, and be done. But I found this recipe online, and I'm gonna send it to you, see what you think maybe. And I'll tell you what, man, I have been to many restaurants that couldn't come close to this. I follow the recipe to the letter, and it's amazing.
It's exactly. I say there's two ways to cook. You can cook right, or you can cook right now.
Yeah.
Cooking right takes a little bit of time. So if you want it done right and full of flavor, it's going to take you a little while. So like pasta, like a real pasta sauce, like a real marinara, is not opening a jar and pouring it in it. It's
it takes time. You got to boil it down. Well, not boil it down. You got to cook it down. You got to season it. You got to stir it right. It takes effort. My mother, she cans her own tomatoes and stuff and all that. And it is a key ingredient in our tomato sauce. We're like spaghetti night in our house was about as close to a religious experience as you could get, because that sauce was on the stove all day on low. Somebody had to stir it. Either you had, if you were homesick, you had to get up, every couple hours, stir that, and give it that stir. If you're out to work, swing by the house, stop off at the house, give it a stir, whatever. Few hours later, it'll boil down to a nice thick sauce. We'd boil those noodles, and then the real final kiss touch of it was the Italian bread, the loaves of Italian bread. We'd make our own garlic bread. We'd throw that in the oven. We'd toast it to golden. Oh, dude, the Queen of England could not have eaten better than what we would eat on spaghetti night, man.
That's what, my ma's side is Sicilian.
Yeah.
So going over to my nana's house for Sunday dinners, it was that type of thing where she spent all day prepping. And it was just oh my God.
You get the meat sweats just thinking about it. Oh Lord.
I actually got the meat sweats one time.
Did you really?
We went to a Brazilian steakhouse.
Oh, I love those because I'm a fat piece of trash.
And Katie loves carbs. She likes bread and noodles. But I'm no. I'm going to eat my weight in meat tonight. And oh my God, like they came over with like the lamb and they were cutting it and the steaks, and I just like we literally
just leave the skewer.
We literally got in the car to go home, and I'm just like, oh my God, I have the meat sweats. I didn't know it was a real thing. I thought it was a joke. I didn't know meat sweats was a real thing. I'm sitting going, what the fudge? Oh my God.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, man. One of these days I've got to sit down and like log all of the recipes that my mother has that she got from her mother and so on and so forth. Because like I'm afraid that there's gonna come a day when they're no longer gonna be here and I don't have those in my head. Like some of them I just know from memory, but some of those I gotta write down. Like I don't know how she cans those tomatoes. Like I know what goes into them, but like I don't know how to do it. I've never had the patience to do it, but I've got to do that now that I'm out on my own. Because I love making lasagnas. That is like one of my favorite go-tos because I'm a cheese lover. I love meat and cheese.
There's nothing as good comfort food wise as lasagna. Oof. And like I love ricotta.
Okay.
So like the thought of making lasagna really interests me because I'll sit there and go ricotta and be like 1 scoop for you, 1 spoon for me, 1 scoop for you. Like I really do. I use ricotta in a lot. Like when I'm doing like 3 cheeses, 4 cheese thing. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. I'm
a little bit of a ricotta geek.
I use mozzarella in mine a lot. Mozzarella and cheddar. Then I'll throw like the 4 cheese, but like I found that a lot of what was going on with my lasagna had to do with the brand of cheese that I was using, not so much what if I'm using mozzarella or Colby Jack or what have you. It was what store brand you're buying. And for me, and again, I would never tell anybody what brand they have to use because I don't know their likes, whatever. For me, I found Kraft do these wonderful packages of cheese that are like they're with the cream cheese, so they're like the extra melty.
Yeah, because a lot of those mozzarellas will be low fat content or low moisture, so they don't melt as well.
Right.
You want those nice high fat creamy cheeses. So that way when you cook them, they just turn into liquid.
That's exactly it. I like liquid lava cheese. That's what I call it, where if it hits your skin, it burns.
I did a series on grilled cheese sandwiches, and I forgot who it was, but somebody tried to tell me the only cheese you could use on grilled cheese is Kraft American because it's the only thing that melts. I said, that's because you're buying fake cheese. I was like, real cheeses.
Velveeta. I admit it.
Like real cheeses, like if you go to the baker or the deli and get real sliced cheese with plenty of moisture on it, it's gonna melt.
Well,
like like we use Goudas and Blues and like.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, you may be responsible for about 10 pounds that I just put on just in the span of this last 40 minutes or so that we've been recording.
Well, that's how you know you're too into food is when you start naming cheeses you like. When you start naming cheeses, it's like, okay, you're too into food now.
I've kind of like fallen into pepper jack lately. That's kind of been the one I go to. I like a good pepper jack. Like, don't get me wrong, American cheese and mozzarella and Italian and Asiago, things like that. Those will always be clogging my heart. But I just fell into pepper jack, and I honestly want to start screwing around with that in my macaroni and cheese. I'm a big mac and cheese guy.
The Woodman's by us just opened up, and they have a bacon Colby Jack.
Oh,
it was like a Colby Jack with bacon bits in it.
That's going on my grilled cheese.
And that's exactly what it was. It's like the night we got it, I made a grilled cheese with that, and I was just like, this.
Bacon Colby Jack.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to be on the lookout for that. Like, hot damn.
Because you think about it, like jalapeno cheddars or habanero cheddars or whatever, and I was like, okay, there's plenty of hot and spices, and then we saw this. I was like, bacon.
Hey, I don't know how much traveling outside of Chicago you like to do. I'm only bringing this up since we're talking about real cheese and things like that. My family, they like to go camping out near South Bend area. There are there's a high contingency of Amish out there. And you already know where I'm going with this. They have their own little marketplace, man, where they sell their meats and their cheeses and chef's kiss. Just I call it food steroids, because like my food just kind of takes, if it's at a 7, it goes to a 9 real quick, just one of those things. Oh God, you know what? I could talk about food all freaking day, because it's like, I mean, man, gotta eat,
Oh yeah, you might as well enjoy it, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Well,
But so what do you see? We went way off topic. We were talking about Average Guy Gourmet. What do you see next for Average Guy Gourmet? Like what do you hope to accomplish with it going forward?
So I am planning within the next couple of years, whether through publishers or self-publishing, by the end of 2022, 3 books.
Ooh.
One of them is so I don't know if you know the band Seventh Heaven.
I'm familiar.
So I have a friend who does a lot of stuff with them, and he does a comic, Seventh Heaven Rock and Roll Kids. Him and I are going to team up and do the Rock and Roll Kids and Average Guy Gourmet Rock the Kitchen. It's going to be a cookbook for like 8 to 12-year-olds, kids' first cookbook type of thing, and it's going to be done more like a comic book drawn.
That's actually pretty big smart.
One that I'm looking forward to. He's one of my high school buddies, and we've always wanted to work on projects together. So we're really excited about that. And I have a couple pitches for the publisher because they have first right of refusal. So I've got a couple pitches with them right now. So I should know in the next week or 2 if I'm going to have another publisher published book. And then, like I said, even if they don't, I'm going to start self-publishing. And then, and that's it. Then the other thing I want to get into is cooking demos. We're starting to get into cooking demos. I've been in contact with a couple country clubs, things like that. I'm going to start pushing the Caribbean twist. Like I said, the gourmet Caribbean stuff, 25 minutes, but you're getting a gourmet Caribbean meal. So I've got a couple cooking demos that I'm going to try to land, because like I said, a couple country clubs, even have a couple schools interested in coming in, talking to students about that.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Kids right now, it's like, oh, he's starting to branch out and make money off of YouTube. It's a thing now.
Yeah.
I'm getting social media to run as a business, not as I'm just zoning out and vegging out.
Person yelling at sky. Yeah, things
Right.
But how can people keep up with Average Guy Gourmet? Go ahead and plug your social media. Like, how can people get these wonderful recipes?
So like every Monday and Friday, YouTube comes out with a new recipe. That's Average Guy Gourmet on YouTube. Over on Facebook, every Wednesday, I come out with a brand new breakfast recipe, which is Average Guy Gourmet over on Facebook. Average Guy Gourmet on YouTube.
Easy for you to say.
And then AverageGuyGourmet.com is kind of a repository for my website. And people said they wanted to get to know me. And me and my wife do dating adventures where we do something brand new every single time. So she's got a blog article up there. I'm going to start doing some restaurant reviews and tours of like burger joints and, different things like that are going to go up there. So you got a repository for all my recipes, plus articles to get to know me, stuff like that over on AverageGuyGourmet.com. I have an Instagram, and that's the best place to see photos of not only food, but my personal life too. So it's an incorporation. Again, if you want to get to know me, Instagram and the website are the best place to get to know me. If you just want recipes, it's going to be YouTube and Facebook.
There you go.
And it's all just Average Guy Gourmet. I'm on Twitter too, but I don't tweet very much. I like to make Twitter worth it. You have to be tweeting 4, 5, 6 times a day. I just don't have that much to say. I know I've babbled a lot now, but you know what I'm saying.
Twitter just doesn't do it for me anymore. I'm
on it mostly to follow my comic book creators that I like, other than to see what their projects are. Other than that, I'm not on Twitter much. I've tried.
It's too constraining, and it's not for me. I like the freedom to create, and I just don't feel like I can really get across my point in the 120 characters that they have there. I can't do that. But before we get out of here, I gotta ask you. You did time in the business, so I ask everybody that's been in the business, What's a good story you got for me without incriminating anybody, breaking up a marriage, etc.? You got any good road stories?
So this is back when TNA was just getting big. Brandon Blaze and I had to pick up somebody who flew in from Japan and drive him out to Steel Domain in Minnesota. We were all on a card. So they flew into O'Hare and rode with us out to Minnesota. So we're driving, and the guy doesn't say anything the whole way. We keep asking him questions. He's like, no English, no English. You know what I mean? And so we're driving the whole way. We get out there, me and Blaze, we're having our normal stuff. And this is, God, I think this is even before I met my wife. That's how long ago this is. And so we get out to Minnesota. We wrestle the show in Minnesota, and we're coming on the way back. We stop at a Perkins to eat. So this guy hasn't said anything to us this whole time. And we're eating, we're joking around. And this guy, he goes, me ask you a favor? And we're like, dude, you speak. We're like, yeah, what's up? What do you need? He goes, get me dirty American girl. And we just lost it. We died. The guy did not. So think about it. The drive from here to Minnesota, from Chicago to Minnesota.
That's what, about 6 hours?
Yeah, he didn't say anything. And then there's no Perkins in Illinois. So we hadn't gotten back to Illinois yet. So we were maybe a couple hours into the drive back, and we stopped for, at a truck stop, Perkins, to eat. So this guy went 8 hours minimum without saying anything to us.
Wow.
And this was the first thing he says.
Get me hot American dirty girl.
We were just like, we had nothing. We had nothing.
Lord. Oh my God, that's great. Well, on that subject, I was doing MLW one time, and I'm just kind of minding my own business in the back. I'm very new to the company. I'm not trying to stand out in any way. And Conan's there, and they're going over a promo that they're doing. He's got a cut with Selena De La Renta, and he's trying to figure out something. And he just kind of goes, "Hey man, you from near here?" I said, "Yeah, kind of. He's like, "Where do all the whores hang out?" Okay, so let's unpack this. First off, I just got asked where the women of the night are, and secondly, Conan thinks that I'm the guy that would know. Just by looking at me.
The funny thing is, that's the one guy I really wanted to work backstage with.
Cool as the other side of the pillow, man. That's all I can say. I'll tell you what, dude's a creative genius. Oh man, I can't say enough good things about Conan. But all right, man. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here. I just completely lost my train of thought.
You were thinking about women of the night and dirty American girls.
I know, right? I gotta ask: did we find our Japanese gentleman, lady of the evening? Did he frequent the streets of Inglewood?
No. Brandon Blaze made a couple calls but could not get a hold of him.
Ah man, left our men hanging. Oof. That's too bad. Maybe next time. But all right, before we get out of here, for our faithful viewers that are aware, we have our words of wisdom. So with that being said, this is your weekend safety briefing. Do not add to this population. Do not subtract from the population. And please don't be the reason why we have to have the safety briefing again on Monday with the commander. With that being said, this is the lone pilot of Pop Goes the Zebra, wishing everybody on Earth a good night, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.